Coming up next on Making Moves, thousands line up to get a new Star Card. The first piece of the Regional Transportation Center clears its final hurdle. And the new JTA chairman lays out his priorities for the authority. Plus, a former governor has some stern challenges for Northeast Florida when it comes to transportation infrastructure. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Stay tuned for those stories and much more next on Making Moves. Welcome to Making Moves. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll hear from JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock in just a moment. But first, our top story. An estimated 1,500 seniors and reduced fare passengers flooded the main library downtown on day one of the launch of the new Star Card. The demand was so high for the new Star Card, the line snaked through the halls of the library and into Hemming Plaza. Stanley Taylor was the first person to walk away with a card in hand. To reduce the wait time, JTA shuttled hundreds of passengers to its administrative building for processing. Despite the long lines, most were happy to finally get their very own Star Card.
Yeah, it's a better savings. I can put whatever money I want on the card. Whatever money I need for that week, I can put on the card.
It'd be safer the way people are today. It's a safer way of doing things.
Seniors and reduced fare riders have until March 30th to replace their current ID with the new Star Card. Meanwhile, the first of more than a dozen new Star Card vending machines have arrived at JTA and are being readied for deployment to several locations throughout the city. The ticketing machines will allow customers to buy and reload their Star Cards. 4 machines will be installed at Rosa Parks Station downtown. The Regency Hub will get 2, as well as Gateway. 1 machine each will go to Kings Avenue, Hemming Plaza, and the Convention Center stations, as well as the Pearl and Water Street bus stops. Walgreens and other JTA Pass partners will be selling preloaded 7- and 31-day limited-use tickets now. In the spring, though, the reloadable Star Cards will then be available at all Pass partner locations. Now, while all of this was going on, the new fare boxes that passengers will use on the vehicles have arrived at JTA and will be installed on more than 200 buses, trolleys, and shuttles. And now let's bring in JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock. Now, Michael, let's talk about all of this activity that's been going on with the Star Card. You know, many agencies that get ready to implement it take about 18 months to do it. JTA is doing this in 6 months. Why?
We got a lot of smart people. Actually, our customers are responding very favorably to the information, and it's allowing us to move a lot quickly. And then we've also opened up a lot of opportunities for the public to gain information about the Star Card. So it's moving on pretty quickly. So we're just trying to get it out there as quickly as possible and make sure that we allow enough time for the customers to really learn how to use the system. Really
an overwhelming response as we've seen. But you know, one of the things we discussed on our last show was the fare change when we were talking about the disabled passengers, 25 cents to 75 cents. But there's been some new movement in that. Tell us what happened with the board.
Well, George, the board heard the outcry of those passengers who participate in the reduced card program. And as we know, at the last time we were together, the proposed fare was going to go from 25 cents to 75 cents. Now, the 75 cents represents half the base fare. Federal law requires that you charge those persons who participate in the reduced card program to be charged half the base fare, which is $1.50. So, but the board heard the cries of the public and offered an alternative. So, effective January the 30th, they will go from 25 cents to an additional 25 cents to 50 cents. And then in 2013, January 2013, another 25 cents will be added, and it will be up to the 75-cent fare. But the good news, Joyce, is those persons who are frequent riders of the system, the board chose not to increase the monthly pass for those persons that ride with the reduced fare cards. So today they are paying $30 a month to use that card, and so that fee will remain the same. So technically, if you ride every day, you use the system a lot, you really wouldn't be paying an additional fare. If you would purchase the value card, that will remain at the same price, and the board authorized that to stay the same. So that's good news for our riding public, and particularly for those who use the system every day.
Oh, it is great news.
Yes, great news, great news.
Great plan.
Yes.
Well, designed on the new Greyhound bus terminal, part of the JTA's Regional Transportation Center in La Villa, was granted final approval by the city's Downtown Development Review Board. The new terminal will be located at Johnson and Adams Street. Greyhound sought that location due to its direct access to I-95, both north and southbound. The structure approved will have its main entrance on Johnson Street. Inside features include a ticketing area, a cafe with a small dining area, and a waiting section, as well as office space for Greyhound employees. The building's exterior will be heavily landscaped. DDRB member Andy Sykes, an urban planner by trade, approved of the new design, calling the lush landscape more like an arboretum than a bus station. Well, Michael, this has got to be exciting for you. Now that the final design has been approved, really what's next?
Well, that's good news, Joyce. We're going to move the final designs into a construction document so we can have it on the street to be bid. We hope to have the construction bid on the street by no later than the second quarter of this year. So we're very excited about the movement that's occurring there.
Now, this is big.
Long time coming, long time coming.
Absolutely. Well, Florida Congresswoman Corrine Brown announced that the JTA is receiving nearly $2.4 million in federal grant monies from the State of Good Repair project. The grant will allow the JTA to perform a full structure inspection on all of its downtown transit facilities. The Congresswoman called the funding a win-win for those using public transit in the city of Jacksonville, as it will increase the safety and structure of JTA's transit system. Now, it sounds like the Congresswoman is right on target with this new program. This is certainly a win-win for JTA, for all of its passengers. Tell us, what kinds of things will they be looking for, though, in this inspections?
Well, it's a couple of things, Joyce. First, let me just again thank the Congresswoman for her hard effort in making that happen for us. America, as you well know, we're having a tremendous challenge in terms of trying to maintain a lot of these public facilities around the country. And so this program is allowing us to be able to go in and conduct the kinds of inspections that we need to do, the structural inspections of all of our facilities, whether it's the Rosa Parks, of our downtown transfer stations. So it's just given us another tool in our kit to ensure the safe operation of our transit system.
And that's most important.
I mean, it's a lot easier, Joyce, to find money to build things. The bigger challenge is finding money to maintain and operate a lot of these facilities.
Okay. State Representative Lake Ray led a group of local transportation leaders, including our own Michael Blaylock, at a forum discussing Jacksonville's transportation infrastructure. The event was co-hosted by the Jacksonville Chamber of Commerce and the Building America's Future Educational Fund. The forum examined the importance of investing in infrastructure improvements and its regional and national impact on the economy, job growth, and the quality of life. Former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, the forum's keynote speaker, said while most of America's infrastructure is failing, here in Northeast Florida, it's better than most.
I think Northeast Florida's infrastructure is better than most regions in the country. I think it's better equipped. You use your infrastructure well. But still, 16% of Florida's bridges are structurally deficient. 57% of your roads are congested. In the last 20 years, vehicular traffic has increased by 77% on Florida's highways, and yet only 4% new vehicle lanes. It doesn't compute.
Representative Ray said he is working on legislation that would make it easier for Florida to fund infrastructure improvements.
I'm working on a piece of legislation that will be a strategic plan for the state. And once we have a plan for the state, we'll see and be able to demonstrate how our region fits into that. So when we talk about funding, whether it's for the seaports or whether it's for rail or whether it's for road or airports, we'll be able to fit into the strategic plan, so funding will be able to easily follow.
Michael, great crowd for the forum. Give me one moment or one comment that really stuck out in your mind.
We're so far behind.
Oh, yeah.
Joyce, it was just really a phenomenal time to have this kind of discussion. If you think about America's we're kind of stuck right now all across America because of this whole issue of financing public infrastructure. So I thought the conversation was critically important to have now.
Well, Governor Rendell was very blunt about his feelings about infrastructure across America. But one of the neatest things that I heard during this forum was him actually saying that Northeast Florida wasn't doing so badly.
Well, Joyce, because of the fact that we in Northeast Florida, and particularly in Jacksonville, we have made some tough choices over the years. And as I shared with the group yesterday, during the forum, that in 1955, this community made a decision to create the first toll authority, the Jacksonville Expressway Authority. And now you're enjoying the numerous river crossings that you have across the St. John River because of that. In 1988, the decision was made to remove the tolls and replace it with a transportation surtax. The community and the political will made that decision to make that happen. And then in 2000, we came back again and made a decision for the Better Jacksonville program. So we have made some tough decisions in terms of our infrastructure, and so that's why we're so much further along than some of these other communities.
One of the things that you're talking about, though, is taxes. And during this time, most people don't even want to hear that word. They don't even want to hear you say T, because they know that stands for taxes. But they're absolutely necessary when you're talking about improving infrastructure, building roads, and doing public transit. So where do we go now? Are we able to talk about taxes again, and do you think the voters here will be amenable to that?
Well, I think that if we follow the model that I just shared with you in terms of laying out a plan before the public so they can weigh in and decide for themselves as to whether or not they want to participate in a sales tax or gas tax or any kind of tax for whatever it may be, then that's a decision that they will make. But I think what we got to do here in America, and particularly in our area, Joyce, is that we've got to change the way we finance public infrastructure. We can't depend on the federal government anymore, and we can't depend on the federal nor the state governments. I think what we're going to have to do is leverage the dollars that we receive from the state and federal government, and we're going to have to invite the private sector in at the table to participate in some of the financing of our infrastructure. But to depend solely on public funds to build infrastructure, though, I think those days are soon will be far gone. So I think we got to change the way we think in terms of how we finance. If we're serious about becoming a strong economic community, strong, vibrant community, economically and competitively, then we're going to have to invest in infrastructure, but we're going to have to do it differently.
Coming up next on Making Moves, the JTA has a new leader.
But you never rest on success. You find how you can be better.
We sit down with Chairman Ed Burr to hear his thoughts on the future of the agency.
You're watching JTA Making Moves, honored by the American Public Transportation Association with its 2011 Ad Wheel Award.
Instead of going in there and buying a bus ticket all the time, I got a Star Card.
It's a safer way of doing things.
Developer Ed Burr has taken the reins as chairman of the JTA Board of Directors. We sat down with Burr to get his thoughts on the authority and what his priorities will be as the new man in charge of the JTA. Ed Burr spends most of his time focused on the business he started in 2008, Greenpoint Holdings. And now he will have to devote a little more time to JTA after being passed the gavel of board chair by Michael Cavendish. This is a position he holds in high esteem.
Of the people I was elected by, my peers, 4 of them were either chair or past chairs. You have Michael Cavendish, who was serving as chair, and then you have Ava Parker, you have Cleve Warren, and then of course you have Donna Harper. All have been chairs. It'll be certainly a challenge to chair the authority next year with 3 of them as sitting members of our current board. I think their scrutiny will be awfully high, and the bar has been very high for me to try to chin and jump over, so it'll be an interesting year at the JTA.
This community and civic-minded developer actively participates in numerous local organizations. He believes his work with economic development at the Jacksonville Chamber and other groups will be part of his legacy as JTA board chair.
And I've been involved in economic development in our Northeast Florida region for a long time, and we sometimes don't think about the JTA in terms of economic development. We think about the great port that we're trying and the growth of our port. We think about growth of downtown and what downtown can be, and we think about trying to lift up our underserved communities and make them better. Well, can you imagine any of those working without a great transit system?
Burr says JTA plays a vital role in the future growth and development of Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. For that reason, he says the agency can't sit on previous successes.
We've done some great things, but you never rest on success. You find how you can be better, and I'm certain we can be better, and we'll challenge our new director of mass transit to be better. Highway construction is always a challenge, and yet without the JTA, with the vision and long-term look that they've had towards highway construction, can you imagine the south side of Jacksonville without Butler Boulevard? Or can you imagine the north side without the Dames Point Bridge? The JTA has helped put those visions together and implement those visions because it had a long-range outlook. It's not sensitive to term limits. It's not sensitive to election cycles. It's sensitive to looking far into the future to make sure we provide for the future of the transit needs in Northeast Florida. And I think that the JTA has done a good job of that. We'll continue to challenge ourselves to be the very best in the country at what we can do.
The new chairman was recently reappointed to his second 4-year term on the board. He has seen the challenges and triumphs, including the work of the Regional Transportation Study Commission.
The regional effort is a critical effort, I think, to Northeast Florida. If everything I just said was true about transportation and about being the lifelines of economic development, transit doesn't stop at the county line. And so having a regional perspective is going to be important to be successful.
Burr will have a chance to make a mark on the future of JTA. As a businessman, he understands the challenges of financing and funding the many projects that JTA is planning now and for the future. Back now with Mr. Michael Blaylock. Michael, over the past few years, you've had 2 attorneys and a financial expert as board chair. Well, now you have a successful developer in Ed Burr. Tell us what you think that's going to bring to the JTA.
I say perfect timing. As I mentioned before, we're at a crossroad in terms of how we build out Northeast Florida. And having that kind of talent and expertise at the helm, I think would be a huge, huge advantage for us. So if we're going to be serious, again, Joyce, about Northeast Florida becoming a mecca for economic opportunities, then and that's going to come about if we're serious about expansion of the port activities, CISA Field, the spaceport, and all the host of development opportunities that we have in Northeast Florida. What better person to have at the helm than someone of that caliber, Mr. Burr?
And once again, the talent that JTA has on its board is tremendous.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I keep telling people if I had to pay these people the hourly rate, what they charge in their private business, we'll be out of gas. We'll be out of gas. But it's just a tremendous effort on their part because they're doing it as a volunteer. They're not being paid to provide the information and the direction that they provide to the organization. So it's just a win-win all the way around for this community.
Absolutely. Well, the Northeast Florida Regional Council honored JTA in December with the Excellence in Transportation Award for its 2011 Regional Mobility Coalition project. This project brought together transportation providers, county officials, and social service agencies in our 7-county region to improve the coordination of transportation services. The efforts of this project led to the development of a regional scheduling system to book and optimize trips across county lines. Well, still to come on Making Moves, we'll show you how a very personal charity keeps our new chairman busy and teaches area kids about abuse. We'll be right back.
This is the 4th month in a row our sales have been flat. We've got to find a way to reach some new customers.
Hey, I have an idea.
We've tried everything. Newspaper ads, flyers, radio. Nothing seems to be working. I just don't know what we're going to do.
Hey, wait, I have an idea.
We have a great business. There's just got to be a way to reach more customers.
Listen, I have an idea. What about JTA?
The bus people? How can they help us reach more customers?
Think about it. Our ads on the side of buses driving all over the city. Or maybe one of their new fancy bus shelters. They even have their own television show called Making Moves. We could run ads on the show. We would reach thousands of people.
Now that's a great idea.
Let JTA help you connect with your customers. We have transit advertising options for nearly every budget. Call our corporate sales office at 630-3109 and let us put together a great package for you. Get creative. Advertise the JTA way.
There are many ways you can get from point A to point B. We'd like you to consider ours.
Welcome back to Making Moves. Early in the show, we introduced you to new JTA Chairman Ed Burr and learned more about his vision for the future of the JTA. But beyond his obligations to JTA and, of course, his own company, Greenpoint Holdings, Burr spends much of his time continuing the work of his late wife. Monique Burr was a child advocate who worked tirelessly protecting area children from abuse. That foundation that bears her name recently raised $173,000 at the Jingle Bells Pro-Am Golf Tournament. The 14th annual event featured golfing legends like Mark McCumber and Jim Furyk. If you'd like more information about the Monique Burr Foundation, just visit their website. And Mr. Blaylock, what a great tribute Mr. Burr has created in honoring his late wife and all of the work that she did. And it's really important to him. He's very passionate about this.
Yeah, and Joyce, it's a worthy cause. I mean, if you think about what is happening in America in terms of child abuse, it's just phenomenal. So this kind of information going into the schools for young people to really understand exactly what's going on in their environment, I think is huge, and it's something that's so badly needed, as we can see today. So this is the kind of caliber of people that we have on our board that really cares about what they do. That cares about not just their business interests, but they care about the community and a whole host of interests. And this is just a small example of what we have on that board.
And now, time for some final thoughts with Michael Blaylock.
Joyce, let me, I want to pose a question to our viewers, and I want to set the question up in a couple of ways. I want to reflect first on former Governor Rendell's challenge to America about infrastructure. And as I shared with you before, we really are at a crossroad. And we're going to have to make a decision, particularly in Northeast Florida, how we're going to deal with infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And there's no secret that, and the governor laid it out very, very candidly, how far behind we are as a nation in terms of the overall investment in infrastructure. I mean, trillions of dollars are needed in terms of just repairing and replacing a lot of our bridge structures and roadways across America. We don't have those kind of immediate challenges in Florida, but we don't want those challenges anywhere in America. And if we're going to compete, particularly on a global platform, as we heard from the governor the other day, China, India, and a lot of these countries are investing huge amount of dollars into their infrastructure, and it's very simple. It's a business decision. If you're going to compete globally, then you have to have infrastructure. You have to have roads and bridges, rail systems, whether it's public or private. You got to have all modes of transport to be able to move people and goods. So the question is, in our community, what are we going to do? And we've had all kinds of competing needs in our community. But we've said that we want to play on a global field. And in order to play on the global field, and what I mean by that, if we're going to really position the Port Authority, if we're going to grow Cecil Field, if we're going to grow the spaceport, if we're going to grow Northeast Florida as we have desired to do, then it's going to take some serious infrastructure investment, and that's what the governor was calling out. And so my challenge to our viewers is, what do you think we should be doing? Given all of the challenges that we have, we cannot continually go to the federal government. I think the good news about the federal government, they will always be a partner. The DOT, the state will always be a partner, but they can't ante up all of the dollars. It's not going to happen. We've already demonstrated that here in Northeast Florida through the likes of the construction of the Wonderwood Expressway system, Danes Point Bridge, Butler Boulevard corridor. All of those facilities, Hester Drive, came as a full-scale partnership between the federal government, the state, DOT partners, and then of course our dollars that we've invested either through toll revenues or sales tax revenues or gas tax revenues. And so we've done that in a partnership. And now we're enjoying those facilities, and the governor recognized as he drove around Jacksonville just how well we can move around in this community. And that took a personal choice by our political leadership and by our community to make those kinds of investments. So what I would invite our viewers to do is, you tell us, what do you think we should be doing in terms of investing in our overall future? So if we're serious about growing Northeast Florida, and what people need to remember, Joyce, is that 50 years ago in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale and Miami, the population was about 1.6 million people. Today it's over 6 million people. So they are about where we are today, about 1.6 in our 7-county region. So we're the last of the new frontier in Florida in terms of real growth. And we have a lot of developable land that we can develop in our community. So if we want to leverage the dollars, if we want to put Jacksonville and Northeast Florida on the map, our 7-county region on the map, then how do our viewers feel about making serious investments? In what way and manner do they think that should happen? And it just cannot be a dependence on the federal government, cannot be a dependence on the state government, and it can't be a dependence on the private sector, because even on the private sector, Joyce, the private sector is willing to leverage and finance projects, but they want to get paid. They're not going to do it for free. The advantage that we get through the private sector is we get it early. We don't have to wait as long. So for an example, Wonderwood sat on the table for 25 years before she became something that we could use. But the private sector is allowing us to take advantage of those facilities a lot earlier. So I want our viewers to write to us through Making Moves TV. Tell us what you think in terms of our overall, how we should be pursuing infrastructure investment in Northeast Florida.
Okay, so there you have it. Just let us know. Mr. Blaylock really wants to hear from you. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. We hope you'll join us again real soon. If you missed any part of the show or just want to watch it again, complete episodes of Making Move are always available online at jtafla.com. And of course, make sure to stay in touch with us on Facebook. For the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll see you the next time we're Making Moves.